Welcome, thrill seekers, to another bone-chilling tale on Dark Delights. Imagine waking up one night to find your own mother standing at the foot of your bed, eyes glowing with an eerie light, warning you to leave before it's too late. This isn't just another ghost story. This is a descent into the heart of a terrifying mystery that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about your loved ones. Stay with us as we unravel the spine-tingling events of My Mother is Possessed, a story that will haunt you long after the screen goes dark. Buckle up, because this is one nightmare you won't want to miss.
The summer of 1987 was the hottest we'd ever seen in Salem, Massachusetts. The town was sticky with heat, the air buzzing with the sound of cicadas and whispers of old ghost stories. But nothing could prepare me for the nightmare that was about to unfold within the walls of our very own home. It started innocuously enough. My mother, always a beacon of strength and sanity, began to act a little off. Her eyes, usually bright with warmth and intelligence, began to dull. She'd stand at the kitchen sink for hours, staring out into the backyard with an intensity that made my skin crawl. "Mom?" I'd call, trying to break whatever spell she was under. She'd turn to me slowly, her movements jerky and unnatural, and give me a smile that never quite reached her eyes. "Just thinking, honey," she'd say, but her voice was different too. It had an edge to it, a coldness that was completely unlike her. My father was the first to notice the change. "Your mother hasn't been herself lately," he confided in me one night as we sat on the porch, the oppressive heat pressing down on us. "Maybe we should take her to see a doctor." But before we could make any plans, things took a dark turn. One evening, I found her in the basement, standing in front of the old mirror that had been in our family for generations. She was chanting something under her breath, a language I couldn't understand. Her reflection in the mirror looked twisted, malevolent, and nothing like the woman who had raised me. "Mom!" I screamed, my voice echoing off the damp walls. She didn't respond, didn't even seem to hear me. Panic surged through me as I ran to get my father. When we returned, she was gone. The basement was empty, save for the echo of her chants that seemed to linger in the air. My father and I searched the house frantically, but there was no sign of her. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. For days, we lived in a state of perpetual fear. Then, just as suddenly as she had disappeared, she reappeared. I found her one morning, sitting at the kitchen table as if nothing had happened. Her eyes were hollow, her face gaunt, but she was otherwise unharmed. "Where have you been?" my father demanded, his voice trembling with a mixture of anger and relief. "I don't know," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't remember." Things only got worse from there. Strange things began to happen around the house. Objects moved on their own. Eerie whispers filled the night, and a sense of dread hung over us like a dark cloud. My mother grew increasingly erratic, her behavior more bizarre and unsettling. One night, I awoke to find her standing at the foot of my bed, her eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "You need to leave," she said, her voice distorted and inhuman. "Get out before it's too late." Terrified, I ran to my father's room, but he was nowhere to be found. The house felt alive with a malevolent energy, the walls closing in on me as I searched for him. Finally, I found him in the basement, his face twisted in agony, his body contorted in unnatural ways. "Help me," he gasped, his voice barely recognizable. I tried to pull him up, but he was too heavy, his limbs rigid and unyielding. In a frenzy, I grabbed a flashlight and shone it around the room, the beam landing on the old mirror. My heart stopped as I saw my mother's reflection, her eyes burning with a sinister fire, her mouth twisted into a grotesque smile. "She's mine now," a voice echoed from the mirror, a voice that was both hers and something else entirely. I stumbled back, my mind reeling. The room began to spin, the air thick with the smell of sulfur and decay. I fell to my knees, my vision blurring, and then everything went black. When I awoke, I was in a hospital bed, my father by my side. "What happened?" I croaked, my throat dry and raw. "You had a seizure," he said, his voice heavy with exhaustion. "The doctors say it was stress-induced." But I knew the truth. I had seen something that night, something that couldn't be explained away by medical jargon. My mother was possessed, and whatever had taken hold of her was still out there. We left Salem shortly after that, moving to a small town in the hopes of escaping whatever evil had latched onto our family. My mother never fully recovered. She spent her days in a fog, her mind lost to whatever darkness had taken root. Years passed, and I tried to move on, to forget. But some things can't be forgotten. Every now and then I'd catch a glimpse of her in the mirror, her eyes burning with that same unholy light, a reminder that the nightmare was far from over. And then, on the anniversary of that fateful night, I found a note on my pillow, written in my mother's handwriting. "It's coming for you next." The terror that had haunted me for so long came rushing back, a cold hand gripping my heart. I knew then that there was no escape, no running from the darkness that had claimed my mother. It was only a matter of time before it came for me too.
Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey. We hope you enjoyed the story and felt the shivers down your spine. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a tale that keeps you up at night. Until next time, stay safe and keep your eyes open. Darkness is always closer than you think.